Hi guys, how you doing? It is 3:30 in the afternoon on Sunday, and a couple of hours ago we finished our live stream, live from the Homestead number 4. So if you were there for that, thank you so much. As you can see, I've got 4 loaves of sourdough proving behind me. They're going in the oven in an hour and a half, something like that. Just on my way out to milk the goats, with a couple of other little jobs to do first. Got some pig food I need to move. And well, as you'll see when we get out here, I am in the midst of just what feels like an insurmountable wave of jobs to be done. And I'm sure that at this time of year, lots of you guys are feeling the same. I know that this time last year, it felt the same. So we've got stuff that doesn't really excite me, but sort of needs doing. For example, these ornamental flower beds that it's kind of almost like a tax. You know, part of living here means we have to maintain those. So, you know, that's not a job I particularly care about or like or want to do, but it's a job that needs doing. And it feels like they're becoming a little bit overgrown. We've got all these hedges to trim, although they'll wait. You know, we've got the animals to look after and all the usual stuff. And then on top of it all, we had this Wincanton Town Festival Market yesterday, and that ate up all of Saturday and some of last week, and this is the aftermath of it, all laid out here. We've got all the remnants of our little stand here, along with, you know, just leftover jobs that weren't done from before. So I'm going to now just quickly, we've got these pig bins I need to move, feed the pigs, and put this away. This was the fencing we used yesterday for Sid. He was an absolute legend. He walked on a lead for the first time ever and was really well behaved. And yeah, and we had him just behind some of this. We had him tethered. I'll talk a little bit about that another time. But we had him tethered, and we had this more as like a marker for the public, really, not to get too close. So got a bit of putting away to do, and then I'm going to be milking the goats. Also, today, between the live stream and now, my wife and I have fixed the mower. Took it apart, put the new belt on, put it back together again, and while we had it apart, I also sharpened the blades, and that felt like a real win. It was not a lovely job because the mower's a little bit old, and some of the things, like you watch the how-to video on YouTube and you see the chap going, and now you just pull out this spring, and he just pulls it out with ease with one finger. And we're there with a rope round it, and my foot on the wheel as leverage, heaving with all my might. So, you know, it's a bit like that. But that being said, it only took about half an hour to do the whole thing. So it went really well. And yeah, that's a great job to get done. And, you know, over the next week or so, we'll either catch up or we won't. But whatever doesn't get done, no one's going to die. And, you know, we just need to remember not to stress ourselves too much over these jobs. If they don't get done, they don't get done, but we'll do what we can. I'm desperate to get a few things done and caught up, but you know, we'll see. So we've got my in-laws coming for tea as well, so we're going to be eating our new potatoes from the garden, some veg from the garden, and some pork from the garden. We've got only 2 or 3 meals worth of pork left in the freezer, so you know, the timing's worked out quite well. We need to butcher the pigs, so we're going to butcher both the boys in the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping I'm going to get a chance to do one literally in the next day or two, and we'll just see how it goes. So last time, the girl that I butchered, we skinned her, and that took an inordinate amount of time, and we did that basically because I wasn't set up with any method of removing the hair. So this time I'm definitely not going to do that. It'll save me a hell of a lot of time and make the whole process much quicker. The boys are also a little bit smaller because the girls had been with us a lot longer. So all in all, it should be a much simpler process than last time. So there you go. So we're going to butcher the 2 boys and get them in the freezer. And then that's going to give us almost a year's worth of meat. And then I'm trying to find a home for the girl, because I think she might be pregnant, and I'm hoping I can find a home for her just long enough for her to sort of give birth and then recover from the birth, and then we'll sell all the piglets, and then we'll butcher her. That's the plan. We'll see how it goes. You know, as always, all of my plans are subject to change. Obviously, one of them, this is as long as we'd ever planned on having him, because we're running out of pork in the freezer, so now is the time. And the other one, it's a shame because he would have been a permanent resident here, but that's unfortunately beyond my control. And I think because we are potentially becoming a bit overwhelmed with the amount of work that we've all committed to here, with one thing and another, you know, with the foraging courses and getting them off the ground and all the other courses that I want to run from here, that's taking up quite a bit of time. My actual paid work, which is also taking up more time than I'd like at the moment. You know, it comes and goes, it ebbs and flows. And then obviously the commitment of, you know, my YouTube channel and the podcast, all of these things are starting to mount up and feel a little bit like I'm struggling to keep up. So I won't lie, I think when the pigs are gone, it will be nice to cut that little bit of work out for, you know, a few weeks and recover, because the amount of time I spend going and getting feed, the amount of time I spend, you know, feeding them, it's not a massive outlay at all. And if I had the choice, I wouldn't change it. But while that work is taken from me, my wife mowing the lawns, I'm going to make the most of that benefit and use those extra hours to get caught up on some other things. So one of the downsides of butchering my own animals, and or at least last time, because I'm obviously it was my first ever attempt, so to say I was inexperienced doesn't do it justice. What it means is I had, you know, some of the joints of meat in our freezer, I wasn't certain exactly what cut it was, so I've got several joints in there which are just labelled lean pork joint or fatty pork joint, and I don't really know which part of the animal it came from. So my default answer to that has been just to cook them all really, really slowly in the oven when I'm not sure, and then decide what to do with it after. So I had this lean pork joint which I've cut, I've cooked really slowly, I've cut up, and I'm going to make like my take on a pork griot, which is a traditional Haitian dish, and I'm going to substitute some of the stuff out, like, so a lot of the citrus I'm now using my rhubarb juice for, and then this was a fatty joint, and as you can see I've slow cooked it and I've cut it up like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bang it in the oven, or not now, when I'm ready, bang it in the oven on a really high heat. It's going to crisp up that outside, and we're going to end up with some lovely, I'm going to sort of do a kind of barbecue glaze on that pork griot there, with veg and sourdough and new potatoes, which I'm going to go and harvest right now. So I'm really now into the whole, you know, using that rhubarb reduction for a replacement for everything citrus. It's different, but I honestly, it's just a different flavour, but it's certainly not any worse, and I actually prefer it in a lot of ways. It's amazing on pancakes. So when I have pancakes now, it's just a little bit of sugar and a little bit of the rhubarb reduction, and it's phenomenal. And like I said, I made this pork griot just the other day and substituted out a few of the ingredients, and that was one of them. So pork griot requires orange juice and lemon juice, and we just used the rhubarb instead, and it just worked fantastically. I absolutely loved it. So that's kind of what we're having tonight. So it's not, I suppose that strictly speaking it wouldn't actually be a pork griot. I'm certainly not Haitian, and I have very little experience with the culture, so I'm not sure if those ingredients are like a prerequisite for the name. But anyway, we substitute them out and get on just fine. So we are now going to harvest, I think, a couple of our buckets of potatoes. So let's have a look. We're gonna take this one straight up to the compost pile, and we're basically going to harvest it up there, because then I can just discard all of the greenery and stuff we don't want, and then come back with just our potatoes. Such an exciting time, look at the garden. I'm also going to harvest some spinach, which I'm just going to toss in through that griot. It's just a good way of getting some extra vegetables in there. So let's have a look. These are Maris Bards, first earlies, and let's see how we're looking. Oh no, we've just lost a potato. Well, this guy is still... So, we've got those 3, but the rest are still forming tubers. Not sure what that's about, but we'll put that all back in the bucket and let it carry on doing what it's doing and see how we get on. It looks like the plant's coming towards an end, but we'll give it a chance. Oh, well, this looks better. Plenty more on here. And unusually, this one was an estimate. It's a second early, so really, this should have been a bit behind. But it's not. So not masses, but some. Let's have a look in here, third time lucky. Oh, that's a bit better. That's a bit better. That's enough for a meal. So I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed with those potatoes. So even though they're ready nice and early, I'm quite happy with that. The bucket growing so far hasn't been a phenomenal success in terms of yield. But first time doing it, you live and you learn. So I'm going to take these in now. I'm going to cook these up, and if you're interested in my pork griot recipe or anything else, I'll probably try and share that on the Facebook group at some point. So that's going to wrap me up for today. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I apologise that there's not many longer videos at the moment, but I'm pretty stacked out work-wise. I'm doing my best. So anyway, stay tuned, and thanks for watching. Make sure you press that like button, subscribe button, leave me a comment, all those good things, and I will speak to you really soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.